Hello and welcome to another video, and today I'm going to discuss all the issues and fixes that I've been having with my car in the past 40 months. So to be clear, this video is not to diss on Tesla in any way, shape or form. It's just an objective recollection of what has transpired on my car during my 40 months of ownership. And it is quite a lot, but let's dive into it. Now, as there are so many issues that we need to talk about, I wanted to categorize them. So let me first start with what was wrong at delivery. So the first item we have is the top of the dash. So on the Alcantara, right about here, there was a big spot, some kind of stain that they couldn't remove, so that had to be replaced. The steering wheel had some nasty marks right here that also was replaced, and the same with the door panels. Right here there were some stains on both sides, so again they were replaced also. Now you also have that nice aluminum sill plate that says Model S on there, which is really nice, but unfortunately on the passenger side that was dented on the back side, and on the front side it was like 1 or 2 centimeters coming up when you open the door. Now Tesla replaced that, but they don't just replace only the aluminum part, it's the entire plastic cover as well. And with doing that replacement, they basically scuffed the B-pillar plastic, and that needed to be replaced as well. Now if you move to the back of the car, you see these rubbers right here that basically seal the door. Those rubbers were hanging in a big loop right here, and that happened on both sides, so both those rubbers had to be replaced as well. Now even moving back further, the bumper was not aligned properly, so this part right here was about 1 or 2 centimeters pushed to the inside, so the car already had to go in for body work when they delivered the car, or tried to deliver the car to me. And then finally we moved to the front of the car, where the flange splitter, which is going from the plastic bodywork to a little bit of plastic right here that's different, right? That was up by a good 1 or 2 centimeters as well on this side, so there was a huge bulge on here that needed to be adjusted as well. And that's only what we discovered when I received the car and I did my full inspection on the car. Now let's move on to what else has happened on the different categories. Now let's move on to the seats. Now I've never liked these perforated seats because it's just blowing the hot air in the car around. It's not hooked up to the air conditioning like my wife's car actually has. But it also creases a lot, and I actually wanted the next gen seats that I had in my P85D. Those were the best seats that I've ever had, and yeah, it was just not possible because the package that included the automatic liftgate also included these seats, and yeah, the Tesla people did not want to deviate from that package at that time. Now they crease a lot as well, those seats. So what actually happened is that they creased so bad that they had to replace the entire front seat, and they reupholstered my seat also to get rid of the creases. Now it's a lot better, but again it's still not as comfortable as a seat, even though they call it a premium seat, and I'd much rather have the next gen seats there. But yep, that's what happened with the seats. So let's move back to the front of the car here, where we talk about the headlights. So with the headlights I had a couple of issues, and mainly the DRLs, so the daytime running lights, they stayed on after the car was turned off. And it wasn't just like an afterglow, it was staying on the entire night. Now the problem with Tesla is that they don't just fix the daytime running lights, they just need to replace the whole unit here, and that's a really costly thing if you're not under warranty anymore. Luckily Mine was under warranty, but I had it twice on both sides, so basically I have 4 new headlights. Now this also happened in a span of about 6 months, something like that, and after the last time they fixed it, it has been good ever since, so fingers crossed that it actually stays that way. So the next point we need to cover is charging, and there are 2 issues there with AC and DC charging. Now with AC charging, my car, I have a regular charger at home, so I don't use the UMC, I'm using a wall connector, but not a Tesla one. But it's a similar one, and it provides me with 16.5 kilowatts for the car. But when it was charging at 16.5 kilowatts, the car was making a noise that was comparable to being at 120 kilowatts supercharging on a hot summer day after a long drive. So it was making a hell of a noise. It even came to the point where the neighbors came to me and asked me not to charge the car at night again because they were woken up by the loud fan noise. Now Tesla, I contacted them, they investigated it remotely, and they said, well, all we can see is that the fan is blowing at 100% at that point, but we don't see any anomalies. Now I didn't leave it at that because I tested multiple other cars. I even videotaped it to convince Tesla, like, hey guys, this is not normal noise. And after several escalations and several months, they actually agreed to take the front of the car apart and then see what's going on. Now what they found was actually a broken fan. So one of the fan blades was broken. And also you have behind the left air scoop that opens up with the flaps, right? You have a duct behind there. Now that duct was not aligned properly, so instead of just being aligned like this, it was more like that, and that also increased the noise of air rushing over those sides and into gaps that it don't belong. So that took a little while to get fixed, but eventually that has been fixed, and I haven't had any loud noises with simple AC charging ever since. Now when it comes down to the DC charging, you basically already know the story, and that is the fact that last year in August, my supercharging speed was suddenly reduced to a maximum of 108 kilowatts, which is not that big of a reduction. There are people that are worse off that go below 100 kilowatts, but I rarely get that 108. I sometimes still get it, so the limit is still at that point. It's not limited any further. But yeah, it also took several months for Tesla to find out and admit that even the P100D battery, so the 100 kilowatt hour battery in general, gets software limited after a certain amount of DC charging. So keep that in mind if you use the supercharger a lot, that eventually you will get a capped charging speed. Now, as you may or may not know, I also installed the CCS adapter because the CHAdeMO adapter was just too bulky, and with the CCS I could also potentially get a lot more supercharger with Fastnet or Ionity as additional networks just in case. And most of the time where there is a CHAdeMO charger, there is also a CCS charger, so it got me more options of faster charging. But when they installed it, it wasn't working. The first time I tested it, it required a new software update, installed the update, went out to a supercharger to actually test it. It didn't work, and apparently I had to come in to do a manual reset of that little box device that they install because something was wrong with that. But after they installed it, the CCS charger has worked, and I tested it at Ionity, and also it doesn't change anything to your charge speed because it's the battery that is limited. It's not the type 2 charging or the supercharging that is being limited, and it would be different with CCS. Nope, it's your car that is being limited. So if you're thinking about doing a CCS upgrade and your car is limited and you hope that with CCS upgrade you get unlimited again, and you get higher charging speeds again. It's not happening. Now moving on to the doors and the door panels. So I mentioned they were already replaced upon delivery, but each and every door panel in the car has come loose at one point or another, and they had to do the clips on them to get them shut, because otherwise the door was rattling when you closed it. It was rattling on a rough road, and it was just an unbearable noise at that point. So they didn't replace the door panels, but they did replace the clips, and basically they had to do that on all 4 doors. Also, lately I was having issues with the rear left window, and that was opening for some strange reason. I just opened the door, I shut it, the window didn't go back up again. I could do it manually, and after that everything was fine for 2-3 days. But yeah, I had it multiple times, and even one day the window was just open while I was charging at home, and in the morning the window was just open and I hadn't opened that door. So I was lucky that it didn't rain, because otherwise the entire interior would have been soaked. So yeah, I'll come back to another issue later on, but I had a mobile service guy here, and he recalibrated the rear window just this week, and so far it's been good, and I'm not having that issue anymore.